period. I hope everybody is staying healthy and I hope everybody's doing well. I really miss being in the classroom with you guys. We're going to finish up reading Ghost, and thank you, Aria, for reminding me where we were in the book, because of course the tab fell out and so I wasn't really sure, but Aria helped me out, and I think we're gonna go ahead and get started where Ghost and his other 3 teammates were at the newbie dinner, and they had just ordered and just received their food and they're about to start eating, and Coach says, wait a minute, and he collects all of their silverware and says, first of all, I'm going to make sure that we carry on the tradition of the newbies, and you have to tell us a secret that nobody else knows about you. And so I'm going to back up a little bit. Well, actually, we'll start right there where he tells them about the tradition. Okay, newbies, here's the deal, he said, clenching the utensils. In order for you to get your silverware back so that you can enjoy this amazing food you have, you have to tell everybody one thing about yourself that most people don't know. Something good. Wait, what? Patty said, looking longingly at her sesame chicken. I stared at my duck, the smell of it doing all kinds of cartwheels and backflips in my nostrils. Oh, man. It's tradition, Coach explained. So who's first? Me, Lou offered, staring at his fried rice as if it was, something other than fried rice. I'm starving. I'll go first. Coach shifted 1 fork, 1 spoon, 1 knife, and a set of chopsticks into his right hand, and the rest were in his left. He held Lou's utensils up and smiled. All right, let's hear it. Lou looked off as if his secret were on the other side of the restaurant or in that big fish tank. Well, he started, giving us his attention again. I'm albino. Duh, Patty groaned, slapping her hand against her forehead. That's no secret, you fool. I wanted to chime in to say that if he had told us that a few days earlier, it actually would have been a secret to me. But then I would have had to admit that I didn't know what albino was. And that I might have thought he were an alien or something like that. And that wasn't exactly the secret I wanted to share. Yeah, I already knew that, Sonny said softly. So did I, said Coach, putting his silverware back from his right hand to the left. Okay, wait, Lou said, clearly fearing that his meal would be held up. That fried rice must have been calling his name. Okay, for real this time. He took a deep breath. I always wanted a brother, but my mom can't have no more kids. And the reason why I wish I had one was because I could have seen what I would have looked like if I wasn't, albino. Me, Patty, Sonny, and even Coach went dead quiet. Nobody said nothing, like, whoa. Plus, I could relate to wanting a brother too. It would have been nice to have somebody to hang with during the week. I mean, I had King on the weekends, but on the weekdays, it was just me and Ma. So mainly me, because she's, Ma. And Ma ain't no bro. Plus, I probably would have had less altercations because my brother could have talked me out of some of them. He probably would have talked me out of cutting my shoes up or even stealing the silver bullets from the sports store too. So I totally was with Lou on this one. Coach handed Lou his utensils and even slid the soy sauce over. Don't wait for us, son, Coach said. Dig in. You earned it. Okay, before we go on, this is kind of a big deal because what kind of person did you view Lou as in the beginning of the book? He was kind of a smarty britches. He thought he was a little bit better than everybody else, and he just held himself up a little bit higher than the rest of the teammates. But now we are seeing a very vulnerable side of Lou that we've not seen yet. And we're seeing that he has what? He's got feelings, just like everybody else does, even though he acts like he's tough all the time. Lou went for it, and as he shoved rice into his trap, Sonny spoke up. So I don't have a mom, Sonny said. I mean, I do, but she's gone. She passed away giving birth to me. Patty's eyes instantly began to shine. I could feel mine wetting up too, but I didn't want to cry. Not at our special newbie dinner, but I felt for Sonny. My mother isn't always the happiest lady on earth, but that's just because she's been through some rough times. But I'd rather have rough times with her than no times at all. Sonny ain't never even met his mom, never even had her cooking, and all moms can cook. When they're not too tired, of course. That's so sad, Patty said, reaching across the table for Sonny's hand. I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. It's the reason I run. Well, I really didn't have a choice. My father made me. See, he did everything right. He got good grades. He went to college. He became this big-time businessman. He found a perfect wife. They had the big house, the nice cars, and my mother wasn't even into all that stuff, really. At least that's what my father says. He says that even though he gave her everything, she wanted to accomplish her own goals. And the biggest one was she wanted to win a marathon. That's it? She wanted to win. She wanted to run a marathon, Lou said with his mouth full. No. She ran lots of them. She wanted to win one, Sonny clarified. And she was planning on revving up her training after the pregnancy, but she died. So my father made me run. He felt like I owed it to her. I hated it at first, but I didn't have a choice. But now, because I've been running for so long, I don't even think about it anymore. Kind of like I can somehow connect with her this way. So your daddy used to run you, I asked. Pretty much. But was it to punish you? I darted my eyes from Sonny to Coach, who was listening closely. Sonny's face started to go pale. I guess. But ain't that like child ghost? Patty cut me off, still holding Sonny's hand. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I backed off. I was just saying, there's someone else at this table who might be guilty of doing the same thing. Running kids for punishment. I gave Coach a dramatic glare, and everybody laughed, lightening the mood. So before we go on, what about that? Coach was sitting there, and he was thinking that Ghost was saying things like, "Wouldn't that child abuse? Why would your dad do that?" But what was Ghost really trying to do? This was a very touching, a very moving, and a very personal thing for Sonny to share with this group. And what was Ghost trying to do? Because everybody was kind of on the verge of tears and feeling sad. He was really just trying to lighten the mood and make everybody laugh and not be so downhearted for Sonny. Hey, Patty focused on Sonny. She let go of his hand and readjusted herself in the booth. I totally understand. I mean, I get it. Not the punishment part, but the part about your mom. My secret is sort of like that too. Sliding Sonny's utensils over to him, Coach nodded but didn't say anything. He just listened and doled out the eating tools. He put another set in his right hand, and this was going to be for Patty. Really? Sonny said encouragingly. Yeah, I'm adopted. Well, you guys already know that, Patty continued. But I'm not like most adopted kids. Most don't know their folks, but I know my mom. You do? Lou asked, with a mouthful of rice this time. He looked so surprised, like he should have known this about Patty since they've been friends for so many years. Yep, me and my little sister Maddie, we go to see her all the time, Patty said. She's cool. Lou, Coach snapped at Lou. Oh, wait, hang on, let me back up. So why she give you up then? Lou said stupidly. Lou, Coach snapped. Lou stopped chewing. Coach pointed at me and Lou. Why he was pointing at me, and I'm not really sure, and he said, thing one, thing two, what'd y'all do before I picked y'all up? Study the world's most inappropriate questions? No, it's okay, Coach, Patty said. It's actually a good question. She rested her hands on the table. She actually gave us up because she didn't have any legs. They got cut off because she got the sugar. She got the sugar. What does that mean? Do you guys know what she's talking about here? I guess our faces made it clear that we didn't know what she meant by sugar. So she continued, diabetes. But who takes care of her, I asked. Well, she takes care of herself mainly, but she couldn't take care of us, you know, Patty exclaimed, now fingering the corners of her eyes. Why is she touching the corner of her eyes? Why do you think? I think it's because she's about to tear up. So you run for her, Sonny said, now understanding how Patty could somehow relate to his story. Yeah, Patty swallowed. I run for her. Coach handed Patty her silverware. That leaves you, Ghost, he said. And let me tell you, I still wasn't sure about what my secret was going to be. But I definitely knew that I had to think of it quick because my duck was getting cold. And cold duck didn't sound too good. At first, I thought I was going to tell them about the shoes, that I stole them, but I figured Coach wouldn't be okay with that. And even though he said we were telling secrets that we were all going to keep, I had learned a long time ago that adults play by different rules, so that was out. But I only had one other real secret, and I didn't know if it was okay to tell, especially over Chinese food. But I couldn't make up a good lie despite the good job I had been doing lying over the past few days. I just didn't want them to look at me different or give nobody anything to pick on me about. I mean, I technically was still getting to know them, but I didn't know them yet. I didn't know anybody besides my family. I never even told Dre and Red stuff like this. Matter of fact, I hadn't even mentioned to them that I was on a track team, just because I didn't want to go through the whole you on a track team. But then I looked around the table. Everybody had each told some personal stories about their families. So maybe my family story wouldn't be so bad after all. Plus, my duck still getting cold, so... My dad's in jail for trying to shoot me and my mom, I blurted out, and before anyone could say anything, I held out my hand for my utensils. Lou dropped his fork, Patty dropped her knife, Sonny stopped drinking, and Coach's mouth hung open as he pressed everything into my hand. And I felt good, different, like even though they were all stunned by what I said, I felt like they could see me. Like we were all running the same race at the same speed. Think about that for a minute. What does that really mean? We were all running the same race at the same speed. That's going to be a good discussion question that I'm going to put in Google Classroom later. But I was also feeling pretty hungry. Thanks, I said, taking my fork and stabbing the duck with it. And I twisted the meat off the bone and stuffed it into my mouth like nothing was wrong. Like I hadn't just dropped the atomic bomb of secrets. But I didn't really want to make a big deal of it. I just wanted to say it and eat. So what about you, Coach? I asked through my chewing of the best food I had ever had. Ever. Duck. Who knew? Charlotte Lee could collect all the rubber ones she wanted. I was going to set the world record for eating the most real ones. I mean, it's basically like the world's greatest chicken or something. Who's Charlotte Lee? Do you guys remember from I think it's like the first chapter? Charlotte Lee could collect all the rubber ones she wanted. Remember, she was in the Guinness World Book of Records for collecting the most rubber ducks. Do you guys remember how many she collected? I don't. I'd have to look it up. It was over 3,000, I think. Some crazy number. Everybody else had started back digging into their plates. Even though now things were a little different, a little awkward, but just a little. What about me? Coach replied at last. Well, what's your secret? I asked, pointing my fork at him. Oh, no. This is about y'all, not me. Come on, Coach, said Patty. Don't be like that. Yeah, I thought coaches were supposed to set an example, said Lou. Watch it, Coach snipped, but jokingly. No offense, Coach, Sonny said, but Lou's right. Yeah, Lou's never right, Patty teased, reaching over and snatching Coach's chopsticks and his fork. Coach shook his head. I can't believe this. You dirty little rats. But I like the fact that you're all ganging up on me. That means my plan is working. And he put his hands together like an evil villain. You're bonding. Yeah, Patty scoffed. Just get to the secret, or you can kiss your noodles goodbye. Coach snickered. All right. He started. Well, it's true, Lou, I did run in the Olympics, and I won a gold medal too. Coach looked pointedly at each one of us, one by one. Okay, so there, he said, snatching his fork and chopsticks back from Patty. And the conversation for the rest of the night was pretty much all about the Olympics. Coach really didn't say much more about it. It was mainly just us talking about what it must have been like and all that. But I was glad that we were off my secret. It was like I had never even said anything about what had happened with my dad, even though I did. And it seemed like everybody at that table cared and didn't care at the same time. What does that mean? It felt like everybody at the table cared and didn't care at the same time. We're going to talk about that too in a discussion question. And that made me feel, for the first time, like I was one of them. They even asked me if I needed to borrow some practice gear, which I thought was nice, but I told them I was cool, that my mother was going to get me some soon, even though I hadn't even asked her for none yet. Plus, I kind of wanted my first jersey and shorts to be the ones that I ran my first race in, which I hadn't even really thought about until just then. But I appreciated them offering to look out for me. Not many people do that. I could add them to the list of my mother, Mr. Charles, and, well, Coach. And it felt good to feel like one of the teammates. Like I was really there, really there, as me, but without as much scream inside. And that's the end of chapter 8. Remember at the beginning of the book, he said that he had a lot of scream inside, and we talked about that, and that was probably all of the demons that he was having to deal with as that most kids his age don't have to deal with. So for once in his life, he feels accepted just for him, for who he is, and he doesn't have as much rage and demons and scream inside. Okay? Now the next chapter, chapter 9, is entitled World Record for Cleaning the Dirtiest Car. Remember the beginning of this chapter, chapter 8? Whenever Ghost got in the car, he looked around and he wondered where all the yuck and the trash and all the junk that Coach usually had in his cab, he was wondering where it was all at. And he said, oh, it's probably in the trunk. And I don't ever want to see that trunk. So what in the world could Ghost have done to Coach? I'm guessing that he's going to be the one that's going to be cleaning the world's dirtiest car. And let's also talk about the whole Olympics thing. I feel like if I had participated in an Olympic doing whatever, especially running, and I'd won a gold medal, that would be something I would be very proud of. And that would be something I would generously share with my team, especially if I was a track coach. Wonder why Coach is keeping that under wraps. Wonder why this is not something that he wanted to share with the rest of the team. We'll talk about that too, okay? All right, until next time, guys, wash your hands and stay healthy, and we'll be back to school as soon as possible, I hope. Love y'all. Miss you.